Live.
Hey, Kara Oosterhuis here with RealAgriculture.com. Sorry for the delay. For those of you that were waiting, we are a few minutes late. Just some technical issues. Welcome to the world of the internet. And, well, you guys all know how that goes. We are human here too. And today was just one of those days. But we're here now, and I'm not going to waste too much time talking. I'm going to bring in today's guest here. I have here with me Rudi Meier, who is the chair of BC Young Farmers. How's it going today?
Going great. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So to start off, do you want to tell us a bit about what BC Young Farmers is?
So, BC Young Farmers is a young farmers organization that is, we're a subcommittee underneath the BC Agricultural Council. And so we generally create an education and connection platform for young farmers through all industries. So we pretty much represent all of agriculture for young farmers, may it be poultry, dairy, horticulture, flowers, small growers, large scale. So, and our main goal is that we help young farmers find the information they need to be successful. So may be them being a new farmer or a young farmer. That's mainly what we're doing. We're trying to keep them connected, may it be through government grants, may it be through association information, and we try to host webinars and events throughout the year, and we also have the privilege of traveling to national programs and represent our province.
So, how long have you been involved? What made you want to be a part of BC Young Farmers?
So I have been now on BC Young Farmers for 6 years. I kind of got into it because there was another young farmer organization, and it was mainly just dairy. And I felt I already knew as much as I could for dairy. Like I was a young farmer, and I have, 5 other siblings. We're all in dairy. So, I only can learn so much in dairy, and then it's just too much. It's some of it is just, wasted time or wasted information at that time. So I was seeking to become more diverse, and BC Young Farmers gave that to me by allowing me to become more educated across all of agriculture and being able to have opportunities to meet, provincial and national leaders. So it gives you that ability to be in the conversation for change and for opportunity for other young farmers. So, and that's mainly what I have been lucky to do. And when I first started, I was just a chair. I was just a director for 2 3 years, and then I became the vice chair for 2 years, and this year I became the appointed chair. So it's been great, and being able to work with our local 4-H clubs and provincial 4-H clubs, and it's just, you become way more involved. And my greatest thing that I've enjoyed being on BC Young Farmer is being able to help younger farmers below me and give them the information that I already have. Trying to help them along, allow them not to have the same struggles that I may have had, and just kind of just make it a little bit easier. So it's been a really great ride, and I'm going to enjoy the rest of this year being the chair, and it's just great.
So you talk about some of the diversity with BC Young Farmers. What are some of the, as a dairy farmer yourself, what do you think you've learned the most? What surprised you the most about BC Ag that maybe you didn't quite realize before joining?
One thing that I definitely never thought of before was temporary foreign workers. It was a program that I never really thought I was going to get into. I always assumed I'd be hiring people locally, but over time, agriculture has been, it's been, less appealing to the general public. People don't see it as a profession that they want to follow through after, and especially at the bottom and the lower level of general labor, people aren't really looking to do that anymore. So learning that part of it definitely made me more diverse on understanding the system, on how it works, on how you work with the government and how you work with the other government embassies, on allowing these young foreign workers to come in and having a program and a policy and getting a permit and assigning them to a contract. It's all very interesting on that basis of it.
And BC Young Farmers, are you guys looking to recruit anyone, or is how do you guys get membership?
So we have an open membership, which is free. So everybody that signs up, you can go to our website, and at the bottom of the website, there's a contact, says info@bcyf.com or .ca, and you can just connect and you say, all right, I want to be on your newsletter and on your on our webpage. And then we also have a huge following through Facebook. So, and then once people become members, it's kind of just becoming a social thing where you become socially connected. And sometimes some people just want to do the events, and then other people feel driven that they want to get onto the directors. So then every year we have a call out to all our members through our emailing list and say, hey, if you're interested, please put your name forward and say that you're interested and you want to become, more connected, and you want to be more involved in on, driving this young farmer organization. And it's great. Some people, just want to be a member, and the other people are like, I want to get in, I want to be involved, I want to be able to sit at that table with, BC young farmers and the BC agriculturists. So it's great.
So you mentioned your family is you're all involved in dairy. Have you guys always been in BC? Has that been where you guys have always had the dairy farm?
So originally, my father, he immigrated in '71, and then he started just on a farm. He was an employee first, and then later, him and my mother ended up acquiring quota through the startup program, and then they started farming in '72 or '71, and so this year would be our 50-year anniversary. And then I have, I'm the youngest of seven, so I have three older brothers that are all owning their own individual dairy farm, and then I have a sister which is in accounting, and then the next sister owns a white Charolais and red Angus farm in Moose Jaw, and then my twin brother and I, we run the original homestead here in Abbotsford.
So when you're talking dairy, I mean, quota is something that's different kind of in every province. Do you want to talk a bit about what it's like in BC versus other provinces?
Well, the quota system is, it's always changing. So the biggest thing is that it's based on a butterfat system. So each milk farm or dairy farm gets paid by the kilos of butterfat shipped in each pickup. So maybe it be every second day or every day. And then there are other components. There's 9 classes in the quota system. So one is based off fluid, one is based off butters, others are on protein. And that's kind of why there's such a movement to have high butterfat, is because the processing plant, they can do more with it, right? The more butterfat they have in their milk, they can shave it down to 2% and then 2% into one and then into skim. So, and the quota system is always based that way, paid on fats and proteins and MUNs.
So, I mean, like I said, across the country, every farm seems to have their own struggles and their own difficulties. What would you say as a young farmer in BC? What are some of the biggest struggles you guys have currently?
Well, that's an easy one. BC, we fight the largest land prices per acre in all of Canada. Right now, land prices in the Fraser Valley are for bare land is $124,000 an acre. So, and that's dairy farming land, and the blueberry market is at 250,000 an acre. So, trying to be a startup young farmer anywhere in the Fraser Valley is really hard. And if you start moving north, yes, prices will be going down, but there are other issues. Guys now are purchasing alfalfa plots so they can feed their farms down here. There's wine growers that are purchasing, the grape growers or the wine growers are purchasing fruit growing properties and apples and cherries and things like that. So those high production property in the southern Okanagan that normally would be used for cherries and apples and things like that are now being purchased because the wine industry is taking on so much.
Yep. And Lindsay here has a question. She says, Abbotsford seems like a city more than the country. What's it like to dairy there?
Well, let's just say we have a lot of public around us, so we are constantly always keeping our standards high. We always have to watch the presence of trespassers and people coming on the farm, just walking into the yard. So it's like I literally live right outside the city, which it is really close into town. But the main thing is it is you try to do what everyone else does, but you just have a little bit more of things on your plate. Like we have an extreme amount of traffic because a lot of people tend to leave every week and to go on vacation to the lake or whatnot. So that adds extra stress, extra traffic. And then you have people that live in town and some people just don't understand the bylaws of biosecurity and they're just like, oh, we're just gonna walk in. And during COVID it was another level of hey, you can't be here because of COVID. And so there's always a struggle of trying to invite people to share your story of farming, and then there's the other side where you want to protect everybody. So it all depends on the person that you come in contact. But yeah, our biggest struggles close to Abbotsford are public trust and perspective, and then the other side is the worry of trespassing, because my brother and I have a lot of children, and we're always concerned of their safety. Never mind the farm, but the children's safety first.
Yep, absolutely. Do you have quite a few issues with trespassing out there?
Well, we have the Fraser Valley is a kind of a little bit of a hot spot for activists. It doesn't happen like every month, but there's usually one a year, and everybody tries to stay ahead of it and share information through the industry. So people may have a person just drive through, which is never really big, but every once in a while you have somewhat of a confrontation, and then you try to let the law take care of it.
And as you said, public trust is something that it's a conversation we can have in all aspects of agriculture right now. Is there anything BC young farmers are doing to kind of get that message out to the public as well?
Yeah, so that's part of one of our committees over the past year, that we had a public trust policy, and we were working with the BC Ag Council on that. So again, it's always hard to touch on certain bases because we kind of just are following on what BCAC tells us to do, and we're using it as they have an information sheet, and they tend to pass that on to us. But the BC Milk Board for dairy, they tend to dictate on what we are aware of or what may be coming.
And as far as like some of the challenges you guys face, what is access to water like? Is that something you guys have difficulties with as well as amongst land prices?
So yeah, that's a great question. So you know, So in BC, at first, it was always established that it was everybody could get a water right, and most of the time, water rights were grandfathered from owner to owner. So it was very important. So whenever you bought a piece of property, you'd ask that farmer for his water rights. So the rule of thumb here in BC is he who has the oldest water right gets to pump the longest. So if you have a water right to a stream or river, and if it's only like 2 years old and we start having water shortage, you're the first one to be shut off. And so that's just through water bases and through the platform. It kind of has came up front that BC everybody could have a well, and then you get your own water right. But now they're actually asking farmers to register their water wells, so we kind of see on how much water is being pumped from underneath the ground. It's not so much of regulating on who can pump, it's mainly to see how much water is actually being used from the groundwater. So in the Fraser Valley here, we don't have an issue with pumping water. We have a extremely well built ditching and diking system from the Chilliwack River all the way to the Fraser. So we hold our snow melt water pretty much all summer, almost till end of September, to allow not only the agricultural dairy farmers, but we have a lot of blueberry farmers, we have cranberry farming, we have a lot of turf growers, we have a lot of flower growers in the Fraser Valley. So, everybody uses the water access to help their growth of crop production.
Yeah, and what's access to fertilizer like? Do you guys struggle with that as well?
So this year hasn't been an issue, but in the past there has been a time where you'd be like, all right, there's a shortage. But working with your local feed mill companies, they've always been able to tell you that, hey, next year there's going to be a shortage. And it's not mainly a shortage, it's just trying to make sure that they have enough supply, or they say, all right, we're going to order this much fertilizer in to the Fraser Valley or at BC to make sure that there's enough for everybody. And sometimes there's big swings because it, for the last 4 or 5 years, the price of fertilizer has actually been low enough that it's been competitive with applying chicken manure to your cornfields, where chicken manure was $500 a ton to haul, and then you're like, well, now fertilizer is only 660 or 600. Well, you can haul granule fertilizer 3 times as fast as you can haul a load of chicken manure, and it's a way cheaper system for labor costs, right? You get a guy out there with a 8-ton fertilizer spreader, and he can do 80 acres in 3-4 hours. But if you tell a guy to apply chicken manure, it'll take him all day. So it's mainly the cost of fertilizer has been coming down, so it's becoming a little bit more appealing to apply. And with chicken manure, you end up having high nitrogen.
Lara here has a question. She says, I used to work around Chilliwack and Abbotsford in hops, and like you said, there's so many different kinds of farmers in the lower mainland. Is that same kind of diversity in operations represented in BC Young Farmers, or do you find that members primarily run dairy or berry operations?
That is an awesome question. Well, we actually have a hops grower on our board. His name's Sam Glasgow. Him and I just did a Zoom meeting yesterday morning with the U of V. So yes, hops is huge. It is making a huge return to the Fraser Valley. We have the BC Hop Growers Association. So, and it also coincides with a lot of local microbreweries. We have, that is like the two big things that are happening: hop growing and microbreweries. So those are both great connections through the BC Young Farmers. And actually, when we were doing our video yesterday, there was a young student at the U of V where he was actually doing a business plan on starting up small scale hops and for people for their backyards. So it is something where it's very exciting to see people that they can go in any direction with.
That's awesome. Okay, well, unfortunately, we are out of time. It goes by so quick. And thank you, everyone, though, for joining along and for your questions. Lara is just commenting now. She says, I worked with Sam. So there's a little connection there. So that's great. But thank you very much for joining today, Rudi. I appreciate it very much. And I look forward to seeing what BC Young Farmers does in the future.
Thank you very much.
And thanks to everyone who joined in and gave you your commentary and questions. And be sure to tune in tomorrow. Tomorrow's Freestyle Friday with Sean Haney. And once again, 1 p.m. Mountain or 3 p.m. Eastern on Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube. So join in there, and we will have all sorts of fun tomorrow. So thank you very much, and thanks for getting real and getting connected.